Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Lori. I wanted to do a video today on a message that I received about what may be happening or being experienced or felt by a lot of us out there right now. So if this resonates with you, great, listen to it. If this message doesn't quite resonate with you, then move on and find another video that I have that does resonate. So there's a lot of us that are aware of our process of ascending or shifting out of the lower states of consciousness or lower vibrations into higher states of consciousness and higher vibrations. And as we become more and more aware of it or conscious of it, we start shining the light and watching our experience more and more. And we're watching the experience of all these other humans out there that are moving through their own process. We may or may not judge it, but we're watching it. And what's happening is that we are becoming aware of other versions or aspects of ourselves, including our higher self, right? As we become aware of our higher self, we start to understand who he or she or it is and the role it plays, why it's here with us. Many of us are beginning to hear the higher self or the higher aspect of us. Some of us are wanting to, frustrated that we can't. But one of the things that came through today is that we are all beginning to remember that we're being guided by the higher self. And as we start to remember this, we start to become more conscious of it, and we start to battle this aspect of us and how much of this is actually going in the direction we want, the quickness in which we want ourselves to be moving in, the process that we are moving through and in. We are used to taking the wheel, being in charge, and moving through our reality with our ego, controlling it. And the ego is based on the past and the future, not the present moment. The higher self bases everything on the present moment and what is always for your highest good. Knowing, and what does that mean? It means that the higher self, your higher version of you, a higher aspect of you, an aspect of you that holds a higher consciousness, understands on a higher perspective, a higher level, where you are moving to, where your soul, your light is desiring to go, whether your ego and your mind knows it and understands it. Okay? So what is happening in your reality right now is that you are waking up and remembering who you are, that you have a higher self, and that your higher self has been, will always be, and is right now trying to or is leading you. When your higher self moves you and leads you, you are letting go of the reins and letting go of control. Meaning that the aspect of you that has controlled your life, your ego and your mind, is taking a back seat so that everything is unraveling exactly the way it needs to unravel in order to move you into the next highest version of you that you came down into the physical form to be, always taking you to the next highest level, the next highest place of consciousness, right? And for many of us, it looks very different. There could be a huge amount of trauma that you are moving through. There could be a huge amount of stagnation that you are experiencing. There could be a long pause. There could be a really uncomfortable transition that you're moving through, right? What we do as a third-dimensional human with an ego and a mind is we judge what we're going through. Well, there's no way my higher self would bring me into this pain. There's no way my higher self would move me through this trauma in a very slow way. Why isn't it faster? There's no way my higher self would keep me in the space that I'm still in. There's no way my higher self would bring me into a depressive state, depression or anxiety, worry, right? These are the things that our third dimensional mind and our ego tell us. It makes sense. This is just how we live. The higher aspect of you, your higher self, knows exactly where you need to be, knows exactly what you need to be doing, knows exactly the path in which your current reality is offering and giving her or him or it, meaning that wherever you have brought yourself to this moment, your higher self is accessing those points and moving you, right? Because the human third dimensional body has free will, always. And so the higher self is always trying to negotiate and navigate what the third dimensional human with their free will is doing on a regular, everyday basis. So there is a constant integration, merging, and sort of bartering system that happens between the higher self and you and your ego and mind. Unbeknownst to yourself a lot of times. Sometimes you can hear it because you'll battle in your own head. I don't want to go in that direction. I want to go in this direction. That direction doesn't make sense to me. And your higher self is like, no, you need to go in this direction. It's for your highest good. But that doesn't make any sense. I know, but this is where you need to go. So one of the things that we are being asked to do as we step into higher states of consciousness, and one of the things that many of us are struggling with, is trusting exactly where we are, and trusting that there is an aspect of us that is actually doing its best to move us into the next highest version of us, which means that everything that is occurring in our present day moment is for our highest good, based on what our soul, what our spirit, what our light designed when it came down. Now there is free will, so there isn't an actual absolute path, right? There are all these ways in which you can experience your blueprint. But there is a blueprint that you came down into the physical form with. And so your higher self knows this. These aspects of you that know this are trying to step out into your consciousness and remind you over and over again, especially those of us that are in pain and in struggle and in fear and in lack and limitation right now, those of us that are stuck, those of us that have been stuck, those of us that are in depression, those of us that feel completely alone. It's extremely challenging, if you're in that space, to recognize a bigger picture. You don't want to. It's frustrating. It's annoying. But I invite you in this video, if you are in that space and if you are open to receive this information, these messages, which by the way came from these beautiful light beings that I connect with and communicate with, these higher dimensional beings that are with you and with all of us right now as we're shifting. One of the things they wanted me to remind you all, if you're in this space, is not to give up. That there is an aspect of you that is holding you. There is an aspect of you that is moving you. There is an aspect of you that knows what is for your highest good. There is an aspect of you that has that information. There's an aspect of you that knows. And so it's trying to negotiate with your third dimensional ego and mind, which is very, very powerful. And so this higher version of you, the higher self, is trying to negotiate and work with the ego and say, relax. Trust me. I know what I'm doing. I know where I'm taking you. And the ego and the mind is saying, go screw yourself. I'm still here. Why isn't it easier? Why aren't you making it easier? Why aren't you doing it faster? Why can't it be like all these other people? Why am I still in this relationship that I'm miserable in? Why can't I get out of it, right? All these whys. And your higher self is saying to you, can you relax and let go? What does that mean to relax and let go? Can you know in your moment right now that you are exactly where you are supposed to be so that you can move into the next highest version of you? And the way you get there is by surrendering to the moment that you're in right now, not trying to control it, not trying to manipulate it, but sinking so deeply into it, devouring it so intently in all of the annoyance and pain and frustration of it. Because it is in those moments where you drop so deep into it, you let go of all of your control. You try to let go of all of your judgment and attachment to it. And in that moment, you say to yourself and you remind yourself that although you can't see your higher self, although you can't see this other aspect and version of you that has been designed to be with you for this moment now, which is our shifting and evolving into a higher state of consciousness, which means that we begin to live with our higher self more and more and more, which means we let go of control, which means that we remember that every single step is moving us into the next highest version of you, and that everything is, of course, for our highest good if you see it from that bigger perspective. It can be challenging, can be almost impossible in some situations, but it is a truth that resides in this bigger picture of what is going on with us. As you start to shift, you bring more light into your situation. You bring more light into the situation that's going around you. You watch all these people going through all these amazing revelations and shifts and experiences and all these things, right? And here you are, still stuck. And what happens to the human is they stay in that stuckness because the story they're telling themselves is, I'm still stuck, I'm still stuck, I'm still stuck. Nothing's happening, I'm depressed, I'm frustrated, I have a ton of anxiety, I can't get out of this, I can't get out of this. We spin. And the more we spin, the more we want to control the situation. And the more you control the situation, the more you are holding it in place. And the less it will shift. It's a program that we have as a third-dimensional human. So we find ourselves in situations we don't like. We want to be somewhere else. We tell ourselves and spin in these circles of thought and belief and emotion. And if this is all we're seeing, then of course this is all we're going to believe. I'm spinning in this. This is my reality. This is what I see. This is what I'm experiencing. This is what I'm feeling. Of course this is what's happening, Lori. This is my reality. It's not your reality. You're not experiencing this. I am. I'm living this every single day. Here's my reality. Here's my reality. Okay. And what I'm saying is there is another reality that's trying to get your attention to shift you. But you are so focused on this that your higher self is having a really hard time moving you. So what do? You first get conscious on the fact that this is your reality. You're spinning in this. I'm depressed. I'm angry. I'm stuck. I want out. I want out. I want out. I can't get out. I can't get out. I have fear. I'm not like anyone else. This stuff is continuing to move through me. I feel like I'm in a hole. I'm chained. whatever. This isn't what I want. This isn't what I want. This isn't what I want. How often do we do that? This isn't what I want. This isn't what I want. This isn't what I want. The higher self is saying, I've got a thing for you. I've got an opportunity. I'm trying to move you. This isn't what I want. 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 And what you need to start to do or think about doing is being acutely aware of that circle, because that circle keeps you stuck. So what it does is you grasp onto it so tightly because you want to change it so bad. You want change. I want to do my purpose work. I want to do my purpose work. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Where's my purpose work? Where's my purpose work? What's my purpose work, right? You're in that. You're clinging to it. Your higher self is like, I got it. I know where you're going. Let me lead you. And so you get conscious of what you're doing, conscious of that spin, conscious of those thoughts. And then you drop in a way you've never dropped in before, meaning you let go. You let go. This is where I'm at. There is an aspect of me that is absolutely, unequivocally, 1000% going to move me out of this. Because this aspect of me, my higher self, and the guides that work through my higher self, and all of the beings that I hold inside of me, know where I'm going. Know what I deserve as a third-dimensional human being. They know that. They hold that. And if all you can hold is that there is an aspect of you that's a higher self, then just hold that. That there is another aspect of you, that you are not just this robotic third-dimensional mind and ego, and that there is a higher self, an aspect of you that is vibrating at a higher frequency, that knows where you're going, and that as soon as you let go and drop in heavy, I am stuck in this job. I am stuck in this relationship. This is where I'm at. I am not doing my purpose work. This is what I'm doing instead. I am in a really depressed state. This is where I'm at. And I'm now literally going to hand the reins over to my higher self. And how do you do that? You sink into your moment. And in that sinking in of this moment, you detach from it so you don't place judgment on it. You feel it, but you don't place a judgment on it. It just is. I'm just going through this. I'm just stuck in this for the last 10 years, whatever it is. But it's the now moment. You feel it. You detach from it. There's no right or wrong to it. And then you know in your core, in the beingness of all your being, that you have another aspect of you that is doing its best to move you. And it knows how and where to move you. All you have to do is get out of the way. And the way you get out of the way is you stop trying to control it. You stop telling yourself what it is. You stop telling yourself what you don't want to experience. You get deeply present. If you're going through trauma, if you're going through pain, if you're going through discomfort, the best possible thing is to get as present with it as possible. Because that, believe it or not, shifts you out of it so much faster. And when you get present in your moments, you don't experience them in the same way. When you're spinning in your moments, when you're spinning in it, you're just perpetuating it in an intensity that actually isn't even there. When you get present with what you're actually feeling, it may be more intense in that moment, but as you sit in it and let go and just not have this spinning, it'll be gone. You may find yourself in it 3 hours from now. But between now and that next now moment in 3 hours, you won't necessarily feel it. Whereas if you're in that spin, constantly thinking about it, moving it, processing it, telling yourself what it is, every moment you're in that spin. So 3 hours from now, you're still in that spin. When you get present in your present moment, you feel it intensely. I'm super depressed. I'm super lonely. I hate my job. Today, in this moment, I hate my job. And then you move into the next moment. You don't spiral with it. You don't hold it. And you allow your higher self to come in and start to move you. And you understand that there is a timing that comes along with this that you are not in control of, which is extremely challenging. I've watched this happen in my own life, where I have wanted to shift out of something that I was experiencing that I did not like. And so as I was going through it, I knew every moment that my higher self and my guides were shifting me out of it. So all I needed to do was feel it, get frustrated with it, get annoyed with it when I was feeling it. You know, moments where I was like, I'm really ready, I want this to be done, blah, 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 whatever. But I never stayed in that spiral, which means that I just experienced whatever I was experiencing with it, knowing that every single day I was moving out of it and into the next highest version of me, the next thing that was going to bring more joy, love, peace, and abundance, that I was moving into that, no matter what it looked like in my moment. And that's where the piece comes in of not giving up. Because there's a lot of us that are giving up right before we move through that threshold. So for instance, if you're trying to step into your purpose work, or you're trying to move out of a job into a new job, or you're leaving a relationship and creating and manifesting a new relationship, right? Whatever it may be, you're in one experience and you are intending and stepping into another experience, all by the guidance of your higher self, right? You have to allow yourself to move through it in whatever way you're going to move through it. There's no right or wrong. And for some of us, it could take years. It's probably not going to happen now because energy is shifting so fast that the acceleration process is crazy. It's just not going to happen like that. Things are going to go a lot faster. But it's going to take its time. So let go of trying to control the time. Let go of trying to control any of it. Sit in it and trust. Sit in it, surrender, and say, my higher self knows what's going on. My higher self has control over this. I may not like it in the moment. It might be uncomfortable. I may have, in my ego and mind, wanted to design it a different way because your ego wants it to be easy. But again, the human has free will, and the higher self has to work with the human's free will. If the higher self was in charge and there was no free will that the ego uses to move us through life, life would be much more flowing, much more easy, much more graceful. When you start living with your higher self more and more, you start finding yourself in more flow because you're getting out of the way and you're allowing your higher self to take over. And then there's no effort. You're always working towards or moving towards something in your life. You're always walking. You know, you're not just sitting back saying, forget it, but you're allowing the higher self to come in to move you. So in these moments right now, a lot of us are feeling stuck. In these moments right now, a lot of us are feeling like giving up, okay? That it's not working, that there is no, that my manifestation, my intention, my design for this life, my purpose, my joy, all of these things, it's not happening. It's not happening. And they want you to understand it is. It is, it is, it is. It's just that your beautiful, amazing, powerful ego and mind are still in control, which is okay. Become aware of it. Become aware of it. Look at that spiral. Look at the story. As you're doing that, remember, there's a higher version of you that wants to move you, forward, that's working with you, that is negotiating with the ego. If you sit in that knowingness, everything's okay. We have a knowingness that we have an ego and the ego is in control. The ego leads us, right? Why don't we start to have a knowingness that the higher self is in control and the higher self is negotiating with the ego? And the higher self wants to take over and lead us into the next highest version of you, remembering then that everything is always for our highest good. On a bigger perspective, it's for our highest good. Always. Everything that happens is for our highest good, meaning that it is always going to move us closer to the next best version of us, whether we like what we are moving through in order to get there. And you can have all the human emotions around it. And at the same time, can you start to remember that you're okay? That it's okay. Can you start to remember that there is a version, an aspect of you that is right there, doing its best to move you through whatever it is you're going through? You need to get out of your way. When you start to move into higher states of consciousness, this becomes easier, which all of you are starting to do. But in the meantime, get conscious of how much control you're trying to have. And in that amount of control, the frustration that comes because the reality you're living in is not the one you want. It feels counterintuitive, but the more you can soak and sit and devour the reality you don't want to be in, knowing that your higher self is moving you into a new reality that you do want to be in, you'll get there much quicker, much easier, with more flow. So what you don't want to do, what you don't feel like doing, is exactly what you need to do, which is soak, sit, let go, just stop. Just be in it. Don't do anything. Give it over to your higher self. Tell her, him, or it that you are done controlling the situation. He, she, it knows exactly where you want to go, what you want, and put all of your eggs, all of your trust, all of your knowingness in that. That is when miracles happen. That is when you start shifting quicker and quicker. That is when your realities start becoming your realities. That is when you start moving and moving and moving and moving. And when you start to learn to do that, you are no longer attached to anything that you are in. You just don't stay attached anymore because you know that you're always shifting and moving, because there is always another higher version of you that you're moving into. And so when you find yourself in this next version, you're not going to stay attached to it, because there is a constant flow and evolution in what's happening with us. We get stuck and attached and spinning because we're in a lower frequency right now. As we start shifting to higher states of consciousness and higher frequencies, we're not going to spin and stay stuck. We're not going to be attached. We're going to let go. So we're learning. You're learning how to let go, how to not be attached, how to let the higher self come in and take over. And the counterintuitiveness of it is, I got to get deep into this. As much as I don't want to be here, as much as I don't like it, let it go. Be in it. Surrender to it. All of it. This is where I'm in. This is where I'm at. This is what I'm going through. I hold the knowingness of where I'm going. I hold the knowingness of my higher self working through me, and all of my guides, if you believe in guides, right? Or God, or whatever it is that resonates with you. I am being held, guided, and supported, and this support is beyond my mind and my ego, which has been the support my entire life. And now there is something bigger, a bigger version of me that is coming in because I'm awakening, I'm shifting into higher states of consciousness. And when I do that, the other version of me, this higher version of me, is starting to move me through my life with more ease and grace and flow as I shift, as I remember, as I move. That's what's happening. So don't give up. Don't give up. Instead of giving up, drop into where you are, hold where you're going, remember the higher self, let go, tell your higher self, take over, I'm done controlling. I don't like it, but I'm done controlling. And if you think that you're doing this and you're still feeling stuck, just listen consciously to any spinning that you may be doing. And when you spin, drop in. Drop into your moment. Remember that it's all divine and okay. And you can have all the human emotions around it. Don't deny your human emotions around it. Get angry and frustrated and annoyed and scream and yell and whatever it is that your humanness wants to experience around this reality you're in that you are shifting out of. Feel it all. Let go of control. Remember, there is something else moving you. And when you find yourself in that space of knowing that there is something else that is moving you, that knows where you're going, and you don't have to do anything but follow the guidance, you'll let go and you'll start to float. If something was taken away from you that you didn't want taken away from you, know, absolutely know that there is a reason for that shift. On a higher level, there is a reason for that shift. And when you move through it, letting go of control, trusting that there is a reason, and it's not a reason that you have to understand. Reason is just a human word that I can kind of use, but it's not really the energetic vibration of what I'm trying to explain. There's a purpose. It's almost like this has to be taken away so that you can then be released. Just one example. So that was the message that came in that they wanted me to share with you guys. If you're going through something that you feel stuck in, or you feel something was taken away from you, or you feel beaten down, you feel chained, you feel like you aren't moving fast enough, you feel really depressed and you're continuing to, you feel like you're in a hole, whatever it is that you may be feeling, first of all, you're not alone. And second, how aware can you become of any sort of spinning you may be doing around it? And can you remember that you're shifting into higher states of consciousness, which is why you're listening to this video right now, so that you can be reminded that you're shifting into higher states of consciousness. And when you do, there is another version of you that is trying its darndest. Darndest? Is that even a word? It's trying its hardest. Why would I just not use hardest? It's trying its hardest to move you, to work with you, to make it a little bit easier. So let go. You don't have to necessarily be super connected to the higher self. First step is to just let go with where you're at. Stop spinning. Be in it. And know that when you're in it, having all the feelings, but know that you are moving. You are shifting. You absolutely are moving into the next highest version of you, into whatever it is that you're intending, and that there is a much bigger picture being played out right now. Much bigger picture. And there are beings that are around you, supporting you, loving you, and guiding you patiently as you move through this. Where you are right now, you will not be in 6 months. Energy is just shifting too fast. Well, I shouldn't say you aren't going to be where you are, but aspects of you will no longer be the same as you are right now. How about that? Aspects of you, versions of you that are experiencing life the way you are right now will be very different. You will be experiencing things differently in 6 months. And perhaps just part of that is being able to release a little bit more, surrender a little bit more, let go of more control. Hope this video was useful. I could go on and on and on and on and on about this, but I'm cognizant of the time. And but this is a big subject for a lot of us. This is a big one for many of us. Is trusting, is surrendering. And there's a huge amount of freedom that comes from that. I've been forced into living my life like this more and more and more. And I can tell you from my own personal experience that not only am I moving quicker and quicker into other new versions of me all the time, but I no longer have attachment to whatever it is that I'm experiencing in my moments, whether it's a relationship, whether it's an aspect of my work, whether it is where I live, whether it's the amount of money that I have. I always know that it's shifting and that nothing's staying the same. And I also know that I'm not in control of it. I create my reality through setting intentions on what I want, but I know that my higher self and my guides that I work with are always moving me into that intention, or an intention that is even better than what I was portraying myself to hold or have. I know that. And with that knowingness, I know that I'm okay. And that's where we're all moving to, and some of us are even past that way of living, or beyond that. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to this video. If there's anybody out there that really needs to hear this, please pass it on to them. Even if there were tidbits in here that would assist somebody, pass it on. Because I know a lot of us are in this space where we're either giving up or feel like giving up, or it's not working, or just aren't understanding this, aren't getting it, right? Like, how do you create? How do you work with higher self? How do you let go? How do you surrender to all of this? So I really hope this was useful. Comment below if it was, comment below if it wasn't. Like this video if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I send you guys all so much love. Thank you for being here. Not only here right now, but of course on the planet in your physical form. Take care. I love you all.